delighted and thrilled. I'm Chris Grimes. This is the Good Listening To Show, Stories of Distinction and Genius. And today is a wonderful founder story, flag in the sand day of wonderment within the Good Listening To Show, because we have Tony Rice, who is from Yarm Martial Arts, to tell us the founder story of all the wonderful stuff that's going on in terms of the values that he imbues within the community. And when I met you a couple of weeks ago, you talked about Yarm Martial Arts actually being a confidence factory. And when you told me that initial part of the story, I was hooked, and I thought I need to ask Tony Rice if you can come in and do a founder story of the Good Listening To Show. So Master Tony Rice, I'm calling you that because you're a fifth Dan Choi Kwang Do practitioner. Welcome to the Good Listening To Show.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thanks for inviting me.
And Yarm Martial Arts, we have Middlesbrough in common because my parents and grandparents were born there. And you have your compass pointing true northeast. See what I'm doing there? Because Yarm Martial Arts is doing such wonderful stuff for the community. So you're about to move premises as well. There's lots to talk about. So welcome to the show. How's morale and what's your story of the day, Tony Rice?
The morale with everybody is fantastic. We announced on Monday to our community, our students and parents, that we were actually officially moving from our premises, which we've been there for 19 years. We've been in business for 26 years. This is our 26th year. And basically, everyone's really excited. Sometimes you get the odd parent who say, "Oh, I can't make it, it's too far away," or whatever. But it's not too far. It's just actually physically down the main road and into an industrial estate where we've got. So so there's a lot of excitement, a lot of project managing going on, with my builder and what we want and what's happening. So we've got all that going on, as well as the usual things of running a martial arts academy.
Yes, and running a martial arts academy, you've done so beautifully for, as you say, the last 19 years. The next chapter is about to begin. And just talk me through the confidence factory and why you suddenly realized, like an epiphany, all along your golden thread of everything is the confidence that you imbue in kids as young as 5 and right up to, your oldest student who is well into their 60s, I don't doubt. But just talk us through why confidence is the golden thread.
It actually is. With the martial arts, you always get confidence. Every student builds the confidence, whether they're confident coming in or not. And one of the reasons why I take many years ago, when I first started doing martial arts, it was a bit of a confidence thing. And obviously we'll probably talk about why that was at the time when I was a teenager. And effectively what it was actually one of the parents many years ago. We were just talking and he said, "Tony, you know what you've got here?" It was a busy Saturday morning. And he said, "You know what you've got here? You've not got just a martial arts center. It is a confidence building factory." And I thought, what? I just saw, was a bit surprised with it. He said, no. He said, every kid that I've watched coming in this place and every student, mainly the children, he said, when they come in this place, this academy of yours, he said, effectively, they come in without confidence. And within 6 months, they're walking out with confidence. He said, that's what you've got here. It's not a martial arts thing. You're teaching it, but you actually, and that was, when the penny drops and the pebble goes into the water and it ripples out, it's like, that's what this is about. And that's where it's really come from, effectively.
And isn't it fascinating that so often someone outside of us looking into the dojo, in your case, but outside looking in, people can tell you exactly what you're bringing to the community and the values that you imbue, to make people's lives better. And you also struck me with your whole cut and thrust of your purpose is, how can I make your day better and make you happier, is one of the other wonderful things you've said.
Yeah, we have a mantra which I've instilled in the staff over the years. I've got a great team. They've helped me do other things where I've gone on to coaching other sports to see what I do and what can I deliver into a different sport, which I did. I've stepped back away from, obviously, because of the move, and I've really got to focus on the academy. Without them lovely people I've got, my staff members, I would never have been able to do what I've done in the recent past. And it's a situation where we have a little mantra, is if a parent or a child is in front of you, it's, how can I make your day a better day? And we have a bit of a training session where we just look at each other's in the eyes and just try and work with not looking over people's shoulders to see what's going on behind them, with especially the receptionists, reception staff. They were absolutely amazing. And they what you call it, when you're in front of them, they have to make sure they've got the positive day. And also the team have a little thing which to stick together, that if you walk in the building and you're not in such a good mood, or you've got a bit of a problem, talk about it, then go downstairs. Nobody's ever done it, but it's always been there, is to go downstairs, turn 3 times around in the car park, 3 times, and smile, big smile, and walk up the stairs and say, I'm awesome, I'm awesome, I'm awesome. We've not had any actually had to do it yet.
Oh, but it's a wonderful confidence mantra of itself, but also there's, particularly nowadays with people's, being hijacked by mobile phones and devices, and the lack of contact. I love the fact that you're going back to a sort of factory default setting, confidence factory. See what I'm doing there?
Yeah.
Of restoring eye contact. And with, there is, as we know, a direct correlation in life between how much eye contact we give and how confident we are perceived as being. So it is so important.
Yeah. It's to give you an idea how people open up once you've got to know them, is at the reception when the classes are on or they're changing round. The receptionists tend not to get a lot of work done because they end up talking to the parents about their day. And the next thing is 3 or 4 people around reception all talking about their days, or talking about children, passing advice to each other and what to do. And it's great. And the fact that we have a family room where the parents sit, because we don't have the parents in the dojo, they have watch it on CCTV. And basically the family room is designed so the parents can have 45 minutes to an hour where they can just chill and have their own little personal space where they can go on the mobile phones. And we have parents who come in and still work. We have a few desks about in the academy where they go on and they sign into our internet and get on with the work. So the normal theme is classes going on, receptionists talking to parents talking themselves in the family room, or just keeping themselves to themselves. And you always have 2 or 3 people carrying on the work, with what they're doing for work. So it's a very community-based, and that's what I've always wanted, was a community-based martial arts centre where it was important, not just for the children and the students, but it was important for the parents to find some space in the mad world that we live, because everyone's busy. And it's a case of giving them that little bit of oasis of, I'm coming. And it's like, and to give you an idea, one of the best stories we've got is just a couple of months ago, one of the dads come up and he said, Tony, I've got a complaint. And I went, I said, what's up? I said, because we have an open house and open door policy where if you've got, come and speak to us, because we're not mind readers. And he come up and he said, I've got a problem, Tony. I said, I've got a complaint. So what's that? He said, someone sat in my chair. I went, you what? He said, someone sat in my chair. He said, my place is to come here to put my headphones on and have my 50 minutes of peace, away from the family, away from my wife, away from work, and just to watch what I'd like to watch. He said, but that gentleman's sat in my chair. And I just said, well, unfortunately, we don't have names on chairs. You can obviously approach him. Went, no, that's okay. I'll just sit here then.
That's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Who's been sitting in my chair?
Yeah. But but the fact that we had a bit of a joke about it, and he was joking. He wasn't. Yeah, he was just joking and messing around. But that came across as how important it is for our parents as well. To find that little bit of sit down and just be part of a community where they can feel and can be themselves. And over the years, it's amazing how many families have actually become very long-term friends, meeting through the martial arts, going on holiday together. Even now, where some of the our first students are now in the late 20s, being at university, got their own families. We bump into them now and again in the local area, and they're still safe. They're still in touch with the families and friends who they met at the martial arts, which is great. It's great for community. It's great for well-being, shall we say.
And it's about instilling core life values and a sense of community to last a lifetime. And you're already, you're so walking the talk of that. And also, I know you'll get onto this in the structure of what we're talking about, because we're going to find out the story behind the story of being Tony Rice. And I'm just thrilled to bring you and curate you through the structure and the journey of this. But please talk about how everybody sees it as a safe place. And even kids who've gone AWOL from school end up turning up to your dojo as well.
Yeah. We've had a couple of our students, older students, like teenagers in the last years of secondary school, and we've had where they've literally come out of school because they've had issues at the school and turned up through the day. And we said, "What are you doing here?" He says, "Oh, I've walked out. I need to come. The only place I could feel safe was coming here. Is it all right?" And we said, "That's fine, but you'll have to tell your parents. And obviously, the parents are going to have to pick you up, take you back to school." And he said, and it was a situation where one was just, it just couldn't cope for the day. It was just too much pressure. There was just a lot going on. And the young lady she just needed time out. She just said she'd had enough of the world. It was nothing serious, but it was a point where she thought, "I need to get out of here," because it was just too many people. She was just having one of those particular days. And they come in, and when we spoke to parents after to see what the follow-up was and how things had settled down, everything was fine with the two of them. We just said, no, he said, they came here because this is their second home. He said, it's the only place where they really, truly be themselves. And it's just that having that. And a lot of parents do say it's like a family, but the children feel safer. And even just the other day, we had new people come and join us. And we offer 2 free introductory lessons to get to know us and all this. And this particular mum who came, her 2 children, they've got their own challenges. I never name anything. We always say challenges and their own personal challenges. And she just said, "Do you know what is, Tony?" She said, "The first time I came here was just you when I popped in to inquire about the academy. And I'm telling you my life story, how," and she's had a bit of a rough ride. And then it was, then when she came in for the first lesson, I sat down with her, just say, "How's you getting on? How they're getting on?" And she said, "Do you know, this is the first time he's ever been to a place where he's not had a reaction. He's just gone in." He said, it's slightly overwhelming, to be honest, Tony, how everyone's nice. I've not even noticed the children speaking to him. He said, "You go to other places and the other kids don't really speak. They don't talk because he's new." He said, "But them students are just, 'Oh, yeah, how you doing?' And he said, even my little girl, the other girls have gone round her and got to know her, and then they're offering for her to, he said one girl even went and got a pair of gloves for her to use, because we have sets of gloves. Some chat, they have their own equipment, but if they forget, we've got spare equipment if they need to use it."
Yes.
And when you see that interaction, it's pleasing, because you see your parent who's had challenges and we're there to support them. And at the end of the day, at the same time, is to help and support and to create that feel of like, I'm part of it. And I see great sides of humanity every day at the academy. That's what I see. I see people interacting. Adults, when we have a swap over of what we call our high grades to our adult kit boxes, as they're coming out, the adults, are talking to like 9-10-year-olds and going, "How was that?" And they have and they've got a thing in common with the martial arts. And you see some of the interactions now grow as they walk past each other, they see each other. And it's like, "Oh, do you have a good day today?" It's go, "Oh, yeah, school was brilliant. It was fantastic," or whatever the conversation is. And it's really good. It's really good. And then you get the adults walking into the dojo and just say to the young ones who were dragging the feet slightly, getting the kit together, say, "Yeah, if you don't hurry up, you'll be joining us adults in kickboxing." And you get the conversation of, "Oh, I'd show you up."
And
like
as you know, I've called you the dojo mojo, or the mojo of the dojo mojo. It's going to keep on giving. Also, just want to say something to you. You've given great praise to your team, but just remember the adage, Tony Rice: leaders get the teams they deserve.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thing and a bad thing. So the clearing, or the parallel universe of the dojo, this could have been written in your honor. It's now my absolute joy, privilege, and pleasure to curate you through the structure of the Good Listening To show. And for you, this is a founder story, again, to amplify all things Yarm martial arts. There's going to involve a clearing, a tree, a lovely juicy storytelling exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's going to be some alchemy, some gold, a couple of random squirrels, a cheeky bit of Shakespeare, a golden baton, and a cake. So it's all to play for. The invitation is to go where you like, how you like, as deep as you like into this structure. And at the very end, there's a very, very exciting moment called "Show us your QR code, please," where we're going to point listeners to exactly where we can come and find your wonderful Jodo, the core of the community at Yarm Martial Arts, in new swanky premises coming soon. So any questions before I curate you through the story of this?
No. Really looking forward to it, Chris.
So here we go. Let's find out the story behind the story of Tony Rice. Here we go. So it all takes place energetically in a clearing or serious happy place of you, my guests, choosing. So it could be obvious from what we've been talking about, but where does Tony go to get clutter-free, inspirational, and able to think? And that is your clearing. So where would you say that is?
It is my garden. Without a doubt, it is my garden. It is my oasis of peace and just tranquility. We've designed the garden, me and my wife Larissa, mainly through Larissa, is to have a bit of a wild. It's only small. It's not big. It's got big lawn. We've got so many memories in there with my two children and all the few parties we've had because we through our friends and family we are renowned to have very good parties, shall we say. But basically, we need the sunny days. But our house is actually slightly different to normal houses, with our kitchen being at the front and our living room being at the back, and our patio doors go straight in. And on a very summer day, when it's a very hot day, by 8:30, we have to shut our curtains because it's too hot in the living room, and we have the sun right up to about 4 o'clock. And my happy place is being just on the decking, and the local primary school is just a bit further out. And at times when the wind is blowing our direction, I get the sound of young children enjoying themselves in the playground, and also the birds. And because we've got a few feeders, so I get plenty of birds in the garden. And it's just and I've been known to have very many hours where I get lost in thinking, having breakfast on the patio. It's absolutely brilliant.
And then you can explain it away by saying, sorry, I got a bit zen there for a moment.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. What a beautiful construct of a clearing. That was so atmospheric. And I'm delighted that it wasn't so obvious as to say the dojo within the Yarm martial arts. I know that is a sanctuary, but that was such a lovely, beautiful evocation of you and your clearing, Tony.
Yeah, thank you.
So, if I may, I'm now going to arrive with a tree in your clearing. And because of my acting background, this is a bit deliberately waiting for Godot-esque, a bit existential. I'm going to shake your tree to see which storytelling apples fall out. How do you like these apples? And this is where you've been kind enough to have thought about 4 things that have shaped you, Tony Rice, 3 things that inspire you, and then 2 things that never fail to grab your attention. And when we get there, I'll talk about squirrels or our monsters of distraction. And then the 1 is a quirky or unusual fact about you, Tony, that we couldn't possibly know about you until you tell us. So over to you to shape the canopy of your tree as you see fit. So first of all, just to reassure you, it's not a memory test. So the first thing is 4 things that have shaped you, first of all.
Right. Number 1 is definitely, it's a bit, in a sad way, sad story, but it's not actually, because it really shaped a certain part of my life, was actually my father's passing. We're talking 1976, 1977, where we knew he had cancer, and Mum's decision was not to tell him. And obviously, seeing the progression of someone on the decline and going through that, and bearing in mind in those days there was no chemotherapy or anything like that, so it was a bit raw. It was really the funeral day, which there's 3 aspects to it, which was very interesting. It was the first aspect was obviously everyone comes around your house before you go on the travel up to the funeral place, to the cremation, because my father was cremated, and it was obviously the house is busy, and my uncle, my father's oldest brother, pulled me in the kitchen and said, because at the time there was just me, my mum, and my sister, because we were a small family, but my dad had 11 other siblings, so there was quite a lot of bodies about. And he pulled me in the kitchen and just says, right, you are man of the house now. You are man of the house, and you have to look after your mum and sister. And I was 14, 15 at the time. And it was like, right. And that was I saw like a dawning of going from from young teenager to being a man. So there was a bit of a skip in my own mind over the years. Then the second part was, as we were just getting in, go in the cars, Mum shut the door. And I think my mother did this for herself more than for us. But she just turned around and said, we as a family do not cry today, because all these are going to collapse. They're going to fall around you, and you're there to support. So that sort of like that particular was so intense. It sort of instilled my caring for other people.
Yes.
Really, we were a caring family, but really cared that. And so, at the funeral, she was so right, because I was sat next to my oldest uncle, my dad's older brother. He was crying on my mum's shoulder. His youngest brother was crying on my mum's shoulder. And me and my sister are looking at each other and looking down the line, and all his family are absolutely collapsing everywhere, proper. And obviously grieving and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in between them two sections, the travel up, there's you probably know it, Chris, Acklam Road, where it's a big road that goes out of Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
And the cremation centre it's out on Acklam Road. And we were travelling up. Well, just prior to that, there's a little bit of a shopping centre, a little bit of the Acklam shops. And it's quite a busy area because it's got traffic lights and stuff. So it's quite a busy junction. And as we were going through, I was looking, and it was really busy. And as a 15-year-old boy, I was looking out the window and thinking to myself, you do not realise my dad's died, and we're going to cremate my dad. Why is not anybody really taking any notice? And that was where I understood that, in hindsight now, it's the third of the world love you, the third of the world would listen to you, but the other third of the world couldn't care less about you. It's that moment. Obviously, hindsight, I see that. But in that particular moment, when I was looking out the window in the car, in the funeral car, an old man was walking, just simply stopped, took his flat cap off, and bowed. And that generational thing of things were before I was born and really resonated with me. And it was such an humbling position of seeing one person who had no idea who my dad actually showing respect and bowing. And that showed me, and as years to come, that connotation was, no matter what's happened in your life, there's always somebody there to love you, to care for you. And no matter how hard life is or how it becomes, if you look around, there'll always be somebody there. As long as you're a little bit open to it and a little bit timid, somebody will be always there to help you. And that partly, as in this conversation, talking to you the other week, it sort of resonated that little, it came back to me. And I thought, you know what, that was probably the pebble in the water with the ripples coming out. You'll always hear me say that, the pebble in the water and the ripples ripple, yes. Because what you see or what you do ripples out. And cause so now that man who I never ever knew showed me that there's always somebody there. There's always somebody there to help you and care for you through your situations, which, to be honest with you, through my life, I've always had people there to prop us up when things have got a little bit tough in life, and and I think that's one of the core elements within the academy of what I've tried to instill in everybody and show that this has got to be a place where everyone feels, because we all need it. And as everybody knows, we all love a arm round us, and somebody telling us they love us.
And such a testament to the notion of propping your family up, but also then propping from the point of view of being a pillar of the community, a pillar against which others can lead or lean, rather. And that's such an extraordinary one single day that has literally hewn you out of the rock of who you have become.
Yeah.
What an extraordinary day.
Yeah, it was. And I always look at the day. Yes, it was sad, but also the profound things that happened that day that really, as you get older, you realize how much they've shaped you. Them little things, them little instances. And when you look back and you get a bit older, at the time you don't, because you're young. Yeah. You're young, you don't see it. You're a bit young and daft and all that type of thing. And then it's like suddenly it turns, and certain things happen just after that, which won't go into. But basically, my mother had a few challenges, and we had to work as a threesome to really get through them challenges, which we did.
May I ask how old your father was when he died?
He was 42.
Oh, good grief! Yes, blimey.
Yeah, wow. he was 42. I was about 14, 15, 16, just turned.
And the day of the mantle of manhood was bestowed upon you through extraordinary circumstances on that day. In 1970, when did you say?
77. He was 76 when we found he more or less had a year to live. and 77 when when he passed away, September 9th of September.
Crikey.
My sister will probably correct me if I've got that one wrong.
Yes. Well, extraordinary first shapeage. Thank you. And
My
says
pleasure.
so much about who you are as the pillar of the community you are today through Yarm Martial Arts. That's implicit and obvious. Now, your shapeage number 2, please. What's the second thing?
It is my mother, who we've mentioned before. She was such a character, diminutive, very strong. She always was there to help each other, help anybody. She shaped me through the challenges of becoming a young man, and basically she became the father that unfortunately we lost. And I'd always go to her, and I have so many memories of sitting down with her and just having chats and just passing the wind. And I think my conversational tone of loving conversation comes from my mother, of actually passing in. And she'd always have to say, remember. She had 2 mantras. One I'll say later in the show, but one of them was, always remember there's somebody worse off than you.
Perspective, absolutely.
Yeah, absolute total perspective.
And reading between the lines, you're talking about your mum in the past tense there. Is she still with us, or?
No, unfortunately passed away a few years ago.
And may I ask how old she was in your?
She was 83. Yeah, she was 83.
So much a better innings than 42, obviously.
Yes, yeah. I mean, she had a great life. When we asked her near her passing, we asked her if she had any regrets, me and my sister, and she said the only regret I've got is I'm not going to see the 2 youngest grandchildren grow older and see them as adults. That was her only regret.
Yes. And when I mentioned something at the very end, something called Legacy Life Reflections, this is what I'm up to with that construct, because it is a way to capture stories lest we forget before it's too late for posterity. So you're giving a wonderful story. I'm envisioning, we're envisioning, listeners to the program too, we're envisioning your mum and your dad in the power of your storytelling. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a bell. Shapeage number 3 now, please.
Right, number 3 is actually my childhood. It's all goes back to that. Number 3 is I had a great childhood, great friends, great school friends. Learned so much. When you grow up, as you're going through it, and we had our little gang, and we went out everywhere together, and I still see them now and again. We don't keep in touch as much, but every time we bump into each other, we pick the mantle up as if we've not seen each other. There's sometimes I might not see any of my school friends for about 10 years or whatever, but we might bump into a concert or some function what we've both gone to or what we've all met, and it's just a catch-up time. How's so-and-so getting out? How's so-and-so? Oh, so-and-so. But what's really nice is even things like some of them follows on Yarm Martial Arts, and I get feedback, and they just say, keep up the good work, Tony. Keep it going. It's amazing what you're doing. And that feedback from people who, you grew up with, and it was fantastic. But the thing with that, what shaped me was, and I sometimes think children today don't get that, is going out. Because years ago, you were kicked out of the house, and basically it was like, don't you dare come up until tea time. You were allowed to go in for a drink of water, but if you were sat in the house, your parents wanted to know why you were sat in the house. Get out, it's a lovely day. So you would congregate together. And I've got so many great stories, in my childhood. But you learned how to deal with things. You learn how to deal with arguments, how to solve arguments, how to solve things. If someone was really troubled, you get them to talk about it, and it was always like, oh, Dad's having a go at me because of this and that, or my father's doing this, or my mum's. But also, I was brought up in like back-to-back houses, so we had the back alleys, the alleys, and the memories of the alleys of even then, when I was young, I can still remember where the mums on a certain washing day, we always went into would put their sheets out, and we as children on a lovely summer's day would charge through right up the back alley, right up. And 9 times out of 10, we'd be dodging an odd broom brush where the man would say, "Get out with you," chase us out. And then in that community aspect, and thinking about this actually came to my head, is you would get the mums going up to, like my mum, Mrs. Robson, who lived like 4 doors down. She said, it'd be something like she'd come in with a shop, and, "Hi, Betty, you're all right," because my mum was known as Betty. and it'd be like, I caught your Anthony the other day. I didn't take his head off. You know, but to them it was a sport. Yeah, and that's the community I was brought up with, because to them it was a sport as well. You know,
it's so resonant what you're saying, because I think you even know where Deacon Street and Beaumont Road are in Middlesbrough, where my mum and dad were, and my grandparents. So this is so evocative, and I know exactly the cobbled streets you're describing, and the smell in the air as well.
Yeah.
I think it was smelt, or that you know, there's a sort of coal.
What we call it, the clean sheet smell, where you get the heat in it, and because it was collected, you could smell the cleanness of it all.
Oh, beautiful storytelling. And also your sense of belonging and where you're from is really beautiful in all of this. You're still really anchored, again, as a pillar within the same community, and you've stayed true and you've stayed close to your community.
Yeah, I know a lot of people and a lot of listeners who are listening, but I live in God's country.
Beautiful. And now the fourth shapage, please. Shapage number 4.
The fourth one is, I've got to go to my notes, actually, is the martial arts.
Of course.
I took up martial arts when I was 15. 16 when my dad passed away. And I took it up. My friends were actually doing it. They were actually doing karate. And they said, come along. So we went along. They, within a year, stopped, but I kept going. So, and the number of how it shaped me is the people I've met through it. A lot of the way I teach is from people who taught me, or I met, because there was a period where I'd go to America quite a lot, a few times, just to get, because they were ahead of us in regards to the professional academies come to the fore. Obviously, when I started doing it, it was just in a church hall, and you only had karate. In the Northeast, it was just karate, and then that was it, basically. Where down south, you had kung fu, kickboxing and others, and it gradually made its way up. So I always say the Northeast is always the last to get to know what's going on in the martial arts. And then kickboxing came in, and then Muay Thai came into the country with Master Sken and Master Toddy. So that's how the development of what you've got now, where you've got the UFC and stuff like that. And there's, in the 26 years of doing it, you've seen the development, and there's a lot of MMA schools around now, and what they call BJJ, or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools around, which is relevant because it ties into the UFC and the growth of that, and obviously the UFC, that type of stuff. But the people I've met, and no matter what seminar you went to or whatever, you'd always meet somebody. You cross paths, but you would meet someone. And I've had some great instructors who've been so inspirational, and really, without realizing, have been mentors. And all my skills of teaching and coaching, shall we say, comes from them picking the best bits of them individuals and just making it my own, in that sense.
You're such a wonderful testament of the leadership quality of playing it forward, because you really have a sense of belonging, the community of which you are a pillar. You're such a testament to playing it forward as a leader, to as we've said at the beginning, this is about imbuing a sense of community and core life values to last a lifetime. And it's lasted your lifetime, but you're continuing to give in that regard.
Yeah, because the martial arts, it's like we have a pledge at every class. We have the same pledge, and the students shout out to get the energy in the class and that. And part of it is the mantra, which is courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and indomitable spirit. And I say it without...
Just say those again, just to deliberately reincorporate.
Yeah, it's courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, indomitable spirit. So you're being courteous.
And what's the fifth one is a bit buried in...
indomitable spirit, which means you never give up.
I love that. Sorry, I wanted to deliberately reincorporate that just to make sure we got it, because it's such a guide for life there.
Oh, yeah. The pledge itself is actually goal setting. It's all about goal setting, taking care of each other, using your skills as self-defense only. One of the lines is to promote friendly relationships amongst all people. So it generics. And I say to my students, some of my instructors, although they didn't foresaw that pledge, but what they would incorporate that in their life. They'd have it, and it is all about the martial arts has got different people have different perceptions. If I say sparring, everyone immediately thinks of the UFC, punching each other in the face, but there isn't this separations. You've got your non-contact sparring where you're moving around, very light touch, and then you've got your like continuous where you just tip tapping, I call tip tapping. You've got then you've got the element of sport karate, which is like semi-contact, and then you've got your heavy sparring, and then you've got obviously the full contact, full sparring where you're trying to hurt each other. But the one thing that everyone has to understand in martial arts, there's only 1 to 2% of people who do martial arts actually compete. The rest of the people just do it for fitness, for well-being, and just for the camaraderie and the community. Yeah.
And because it's so ingrained in the mantra is so ingrained, and the best communications happen in threes, because listeners may be hearing your mantra for the first time. Can I get you to say it one more time, but just do it really? The mantra is...
Yeah, it's courtesy, integrity, perseverance, self-control, and indomitable spirit.
Which is easy for you to say.
Yeah,
wonderful. Those are profound shapeages. Thank you so much. And now, as we go down the tree of the storytelling, this is 3 things that inspire you now, Tony Rice.
Right. The 3 things that inspire me or inspired me is obviously my mum, and I take a lot from her in inspiration, but also it's the way she brought us up into the community, and also give us the values that I have, which I've probably passed into the community, of the martial arts, in my academy, and it's to inspire that. She also had the mantra of, it is what it is, just deal with it, and that's shaped me massively, and I inspire to be like that. That whatever challenge comes up, it's at the end of the day, it's just a challenge. It's just a challenge. It's we don't get me wrong, there's different challenges in life everyone has, but the fact is, whatever the challenge is, just deal with it. Just don't hanker it. Just move through it. And I learned this lovely image of, if you have a challenge, you've got so many ways to go over it. So it's either you go over it, you go under it, you go around it, or you go smash it. Because if you stop in life. And one of my instructors told me that story, and I thought that was such a profound way of saying it, that it's a hurdle. That's all it is. It's just a hurdle.
It reminds me of the Michael Rosen book, which he co-authored with somebody else, called Going on a Bear Hunt. You reach an obstacle, we can't go over it, we can't go under it. Oh no, we'll have to go through it. But of course, a life journey and a path and a trajectory is to make sure you go through adversity. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's the same as the students when they come up to a challenge if they can't get a technique right, or they can't remember a form, or whatever they're struggling with. We'll say, well, you've got to go through it. What do we need to do as your instructor? What do I need to do for you to understand what you need to do, and you need to understand how to do it? And we have the 3 P's, which me instructors use, which is praise, correct, praise. So even if they're not doing the technique right, we'll say to them, "Oh, fantastic! That's a good technique. But if we did this, do you think that would be better?" So we analyze it so they think about it, and give them the opportunity to decide how they want to throw the technique.
That's a great coaching methodology. PCP, praise, correct, praise. Did you say?
Yeah. And I got that from another mentor, by the way. It wasn't mine.
That's a much better way, may I say, than doing what's sometimes called a shit sandwich, where the PCP, praise, correct, praise.
Praise, correct, praise. Basically, it's and then if they do the technique, even if they don't do it perfectly, or they don't, they've changed it slightly, and it's still my lovely, you still praise them. It was good.
Yes.
It's getting better.
Yes.
But children are very susceptible, and students are very, especially young children. They know when you're lying. They know when you're telling the truth.
Yes.
And they'll give you this little look that children have, which is, really? Don't lie to me. It's just like, really? That is not a good technique. And even if you praise them, the look you go, really? And it's like, they know, but that's where the community, and that's where you get to know the students, as you go along. And it's always being positive, even if it's a slight negative situation, you always make the positives out of it.
Lovely.
And the next one is, what inspires me is my wife and children. Without them, I would not have had the life that I'm having. Because it was actually my wife that made me decide to do this full time. We were discussing it. I won't bore you how we got into the situation. We might do it later on. But basically, what actually happened was I was sat there thinking about, could we make this work? Could we make it full time? And she just said, Tony, she said, just go for it. She said, because I do not want you sitting there when you're 80 in your rocking chair wishing you'd done it. Just go and do it. If it doesn't work, you can always get another job. And that was the day of the Yarm martial art actually really coming to fore, effectively. So my wife's always supported us. She's been involved in it. She used to instruct herself. Larissa's been absolutely awesome for that. And sometimes she was a better teacher than me, to be truthful. But now she's eased off now. Because she's obviously with the children, my younger children, 18 to 21 now. So she's had a life of being the mother, effectively, which is great because I've always wanted to give, have the mother at home. Bit similar to myself. When Dad was alive, Mum would always be there for us, and I just wanted that feel. And it's worked well. And the children as well, they've totally understood the times when I've been, I've not seen them. I've always been there, hopefully, for, when they were younger, for the plays and that, and supported them on their journey as swimmers, because they were competitive swimmers up until recently. They were competitive swimmers, so I've always been there helping them as a family. And we've got so many memories, especially on the Sundays when we used to go and watch my lad play football. And then we go and see our mum and have a little sandwich, cup of tea, and then we go spend 3 hours at poolside while my children were training, one after the other. Never together, always one after the other. So that was our Sundays for many, many years.
Yes, lovely.
Yeah,
glorious images. Sorry, these are influencers now. So I believe now this is where, borrow from the film Up, the two squirrels come in. So what are your two squirrels or monsters of distraction? What two things never fail to stop you in your tracks, irrespective of anything else that's going on for you, Tony?
Well, I don't have to think about that one. It is if I have to go on my mobile phone to pass a message on to someone, and where you get your notifications, and I've got a lot of martial arts training videos that pop up. If I see one of them, that is me with the squirrel head on. I will sit there and watch these quick videos of other martial artists talking about techniques or talking about this or whatever. And I'll be just, and then another one will come, and it's just and then I'll go, that's 15 minutes of my life just wasted. Come on, let's move.
In all my circa 270 odd episodes, no one's ever said that's me with a squirrel head on. I love that presentation. That's great.
Oh yeah, that is definitely. And the second one is a chance to talk like this.
Well, I'm just loving this conversation. So it's right back at you. It's reciprocally glorious listening to you.
Yeah, because my staff have two things. We have mat chats with the younger ones. And he's about.
I was hoping you're going to talk about mat chats because they're famous, aren't they, within the
dojo? Yeah, they're famous in the academy. The mat chats are basically helping the youngsters, like our Ninja Talk group for after 7-year-olds, and we talk about life. About one of the stories I use quite common is when you get up in the morning and you're in a bad mood, what's mum and dad's reaction? Oh, they end up shouting at us. Because you're dragging your feet. So I call it dragging your feet. If you get up in a good morning and you're feeling really good, what happens? Oh, mum and dad are smiling and happy. Yeah. So you choose, and I tell the 5-year-olds, you choose what day you have. You choose whether it's going to be a good day or bad day. And we talk about others. And then now and again, the parents might come up and speak about, he has been very nice to his sister. We were having trouble with him and his sister. And we'll say, okay, instead of us speaking to that particular student, we'll actually do it in a mat chat. And while we're doing it, we're actually looking at individual. And they know we're talking to them. They just go, and as they come out, say, you were talking to me on that mat chat, weren't you, Tony? He went, yeah. Stop messing around. He said, stop giving you a load of hassle because mum just had a word. All right, okay. And remember,
the best type of replacement for a school assembly is one of Tony Rice's mat chats.
Yeah, well, they ended up being called Tony Talks because I used to talk so much that the classes used to run over, and I'd have the instructors going, Tony, But now we've just, our black belts, they do public speaking. So when they pass their black belt test, they have to do a speech with all the parents. We call it the black belt celebration. So and we always get the certificates like 6 to 8 weeks later because they're quite big A3 gold leaf type things from our association. So, and it's a number of times we hear, oh yeah, and the infamous Tony talks, I took a lot from that. We get there and it's like, but some of them speeches are absolutely brilliant. 11-year-olds to 16-year-olds really coming out, and the last one we just had was very emotional. We had 2 real crackers, and there wasn't a dry in the house, let's put it that way. But that public speaking, the reason why I brought her in was, if you can public speak at that age and get over it, it is literally, if you can public speak, you can do anything, I think.
And again, equipping people for life through the discipline, through the rigor, through just the sense of community. It's lovely.
Really. Yeah, and to give you an idea, I need to do things locked up, to get on with the business, because if someone comes in the office or someone stood, you can guarantee Tony will talk a glass eye to sleep.
Say that again. Tony will talk a glass eye to sleep. Did you say?
Yeah, Tony Rice will talk a glass eye to sleep.
Lovely. And now we've either got a second squirrel, if I'm right. No, that we've done that. We've done the video.
Second squirrel,
second squirrel. And now the one is a quirky or unusual fact about you, Tony. We couldn't possibly know about you until you tell us.
You could call it slight addiction. It basically is I'm a chocoholic.
Okay.
I have to have a piece of chocolate every day, because if I don't, I have a bit of I need some chocolate. And even when I think, I've not had no chocolate today, it's oh yeah, and I can, even bedtime, go and get me a bottle of water to take to bed. It'll be, I've had no chocolate today. It'll just come in my head. I have to have even a square, just one square, and that's it.
And what's the chocolate of choice for you?
It's usually milk chocolate, but I do like dark chocolate. One of my favorites, which is my dad used to get on a Sunday. We used to have a little ritual on a Sunday. He loved Jamaican rum chocolate.
Ah, yes, I remember that. The Cadbury's Jamaican rum.
Yeah, the Cadbury's Jamaican rum.
Yeah.
There used to be a little corner shop open on a Sunday, because obviously we didn't have Sunday hours in those days. And there was only one little corner shop that would open between 2 and 4, and we'd have our Sunday dinner, and we had an ice cream shop called Mecca just around the corner from us.
Yeah.
They were open as well between 2 and 4. So people would run round, get their ice creams with the Knickerbocker Glories, run back, because we didn't run round. He'd always have a queue, Knickerbocker Glory. And so my sister would probably go to the Mecca, get the ice creams, and I'd run over to the shop and get the chocolates. It would be dairy milk.
Our geography is very interesting, because in Beaumont Road, my granddad and grandmother used to live next door to the corner shop, and it was a woman called Olive who used to serve in the corner shop. So we might even, or there was another one called Tickles, which you might even remember.
Yeah.
So you need your chocolate. You're a chocoholic.
Yeah, I'm a chocoholic. Yeah, chocoholic.
We have shaken your tree, hurrah. Now we stay in your clearing, which is your garden, in your sort of Zen zone, if you like. And then now we're going to talk about alchemy and gold. You've been giving us this by the bucket load, but when you're at purpose and in flow, Tony Rice, founder of Yarm,
it is being on the floor, coaching. To give an idea, when I said earlier that my staff give me the chance to try another sport, it was actually supporting my children, because they were running out of coaches. Obviously, COVID hit, and then I became a swim coach, level 2 swim coach, and ended up running for the Middlesbrough Swimming Club, three different groups, until it got settled down. And to do what I do, could I transition to another sport? I can't remember the title of the book, but there's a book on coaching which simply says, if you know the basics of the sport, it is not about the technique of the sport, it's about the individual.
That could be the inner game of tennis, because that's where coaching all came from.
Yeah. It's because my older daughter got it for me one Christmas, and I sat and read it, and it wasn't from that, but it was certainly from that floor.
Yes.
And I thought, well, could it? So it was a bit of an experiment for me, but also I can't sit as a parent. I have to be, I've got itchy feet. I just got sitting for an hour and a bit, or 2 hours or whatever while the training. It's like, no, I need to move. So the coaches at the time, seeing that, asked me if I would help out as a parent.
Yeah.
parent helper, then became a level 1 coach, and then became a level 2 coach, which is then I could run a squad and effectively end up running three of the younger squads. And because of that, I then really got the confidence, because I always lacked that confidence. It goes back to that confidence thing as teenagers, always been there. You know, am I
Yeah.
doing the right job? Am I doing it good? But since COVID and how we got through COVID, because we still did classes online.
Yeah.
So, and that was a very good challenge. And that experience really instilled that actually, you know, I don't want to sound my own trumpet, but over the last 5 years, I've realized I am very good at what I do.
You
Not sounding big-headed, but I
no,
am.
you just are, so you have humility coming out of every pore. Also, when I first met you and was sat next to you, you're such a gentle, kind, lovely man. And that's not just me blowing happy smoke at you. And you're a natural born teacher and mentor. You can just see that. It's just so obvious.
Yeah, thank you. But it's, and that's my happy place. That's where I'm in flow. If the perfect example was one of the parents actually talking, she's actually a kickboxer as well, and she turned around and said to me, said, Tony, she said, I've never seen you so constrained. Because when we do the black belt presentation, obviously it's a structure, and
Yeah.
it's structure what I say, and it's all about the children coming up. So I'm just the compare, shall we say.
Yeah.
And she said, I see today what Tony Rice is about. She said, you are free flowing. If you had to go on stage and do a performance, knowing each line, you'd be rubbish, because you could not do that. And she's so right. I couldn't. It's just like whatever comes, we'll say, and that's the elements. That's where I would love to be, in that place. When I'm doing the mat chats, it's not preordained. The subject is, the subject, the title line is there, but each time, if you recorded it and if I had the same tagline, every mat chat would be different.
Yes. I don't know if you record your mat chats, but I would encourage you to do that, because that's an ongoing, wonderful archive of Tony's wisdom.
Yeah.
As you let your thinking unfold.
Yeah. A lot of people do that, but then sometimes I think if that camera's there, I might be put off.
Yeah. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to award you with a bit of cake, please. So this is, do you like cake as well as chocolate? So what's your cake of choice, please?
Well, I'll give you one guess. Chocolate cake.
Chocolate. Are we talking Black Forest or just a sort of
Black Forest or plain chocolate with cream, like a chocolate Victoria sponge? Yeah, that's right on my street, with a double cream. Can't knock it. Just give me that. I'd eat that all day.
And it's your birthday in March coming up soon, so that'll be another chocolate cake coming your way.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, it tends to be the last very few Christmases and birthdays has been loads of chocolate and a couple of bottles of whiskey as well.
Get in. And now you get to put a cherry on the cake. This is the last suffused with storytelling metaphor. This is stuff like, now, what's a favorite inspirational quote? You've given us a couple, but what's a favorite quote that's always given you succor and pulled you towards your future?
Well, there's two, actually. One is what I've mentioned earlier, which is, it is what it is, just deal with it. That's my mum's inspirational quote. And the other one is from Batman. I'm a superhero, but as I grew up, I was into superheroes. Daredevil and Hulk were my favourites. I used to collect the bi-weekly magazines when I was a kid. I wasn't into Batman then, but now with the new Batman movies, well, saying new, a while back now, Christian Bale, he made Batman come alive for me. Yeah. And the quote, and I've still got to write it down, but even though I said it's not, what is it? It's not who I am or what's underneath me. It's what I do that defines me.
Love that. And again, in the spirit of reincorporation, just to say it one more time.
Yeah, it's not who I am and what's underneath me. Yeah, it's what I do that defines me.
Wonderful. With the gift of hindsight, what notes, help, or advice, Tony Rice, would you proffer to a younger version of yourself?
The younger version of myself, I've actually done this quite a few times. I see the little 4-year-old blonde-haired boy next to me. He's with me now, and we give each other a hug every now and again, just to support each other with love, because every young child needs to be told they're loved, and there's not enough around. I know the parents say, but it should come from teachers, it could come from coaches, and I still do it now in front of their own parents. Where, I was talking to one of the younger students about the move because she has her own challenges, and as you appreciate, certain children, if you move, it's chaos in their own mind. And
Yeah.
we were just talking about it, and as I got up, the man was there, and as I got up, I said, always remember, you're always loved. And that is one thing that, should be set a lot of times to children as they grow up. And even now, watching a program about the boxers, the Four Kings, with Nigel Benn, Chris Eubank, and there was a great scene about Nigel Benn where he was talking about his depression and how he tried to commit suicide 3 times. And he said all it was somebody to put their arm around me and say they loved me. And I thought that was so like profound. It's just, and we don't get enough. We don't get enough hugs. We don't get enough, thing. Really, it's not being huggy type thing. It's just every now and again, someone comes up to you and just says, "You know what, you're doing a great job, and I love you," and that's it. That's.
We're ramping up to talk about Shakespeare shortly, to talk about the 7 Ages of Man. And just before we do that, though, this is the pass the golden baton moment, please. They don't like it up at Mr. Mannering. So having experienced this construct from within, who might you most like to pass the golden baton along to give them a damn good listening to in this way?
It's a young man called Dan Woodruff. He has his own coaching business, actually. It's called Coach Dan. And he used to have his own martial arts academy where we would transition from being working in a school or wherever, we would transition to get a full-time academy. And I got to know Dan through a company called EFC, Education Fund Company, which is a martial arts collection company, but they would guide you. And they were an American company, but was run by British people. So you would meet a lot of people. It was a bit of a centre, bit similar to Entrepreneurs Circle where we met,
Yes.
and that type of thing, but purely for martial arts. And I met Dan through that, and we'd go down a couple of times, so he would show his systems, how he worked, so he became a bit of a mentor for me in regards to, if you have any things, and he would do what he would do through the day and this, that, and the other. He's now moved on to just doing coaching, and coaching. He's got a very successful business going. He's doing really well for himself. But also, he's got a great story. I won't tell you what it is, but it's a great story and how we overcome it.
And his name is Woodruff, did you say?
Yeah, Woodruff. Yeah, Wood and then RUFF.
Wonderful. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to pass the golden baton along there. And now, and thank you for that, very generous indeed. And now, inspired by Shakespeare, all the world's a stage with all the bedded women merely players. How, when all is said and done, Tony Rice, the Dojo Mojo from Yarm Martial Arts, would you most like to be remembered?
Well, this is Steve Covey from The 7 Habits of Successful People. Read it many years ago, on the journey. And he said, if you want to know what life you have, write your own epitaph, which I did. And basically, it's legacy. It's just legacy for the children, legacy of leaving something. Because at the end of the day, you don't know how many people you've impacted. And only one person knows that, and that's the man upstairs. When you go to the pearly gates, he tells you who whether it's true or not, I don't know, but he will tell you who you helped and who you inspired and everything like that. I've got 1 or 2 people who've actually come up and said, you've inspired me in this, but that's a lot of people. People won't say that. It's not a done thing. So, but to leave a legacy for the children, hopefully being a great father to them. And to be honest with you, Chris, it's very important to me because in the Rice family, this is the first generation in about, as long as I can remember, 3, 4 going back, where grandfather, father, and grandson are actually alive together. So I never met my grandfather. My sons and my children never met my dad. So it's quite an important thing. So it's become a bit of a journey, a bit of a thing with me in regards to my young grandson and getting the connection with him, and leaving the legacy for the martial arts as well. And preparing. One of the reasons why we're moving is to solidify for the future, for the young instructors that I've got now. because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be able to keep on going. And it's to pass the baton down. And hopefully, if I retire or ever move from Yarm martial art or whatever they'll be doing in the future, I can drive past and say, it's still there.
And you can stand doing Tony Talks until the day you pop your mortal.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you'll always be there. You'll become more and more grasshopper, like, using the Kung Fu stereotype.
Yeah.
And, the ancient wizard of the dojo.
Yeah, well, I can imagine. I have images of me still laid there in my old age, going to pass away, but still coming back and going, and the nurse coming and say, "You are allowed to die,"
Your legacy, I don't doubt, and also you are hugely modest. I wouldn't need to bet on the fact you have already influenced many, many hundreds, if not thousands, of lives.
Hopefully we have.
And now we've got a very exciting moment. There's a really important last question coming your way in a moment, but this is now, show us your QR code, please. So for those watching, you're able to scan straight away and go to Yarm Martial Arts, but just talk us through the URL and where we can find out all about Tony Rice on the old internet.
Yep, it's www.yarmmartialarts.co.uk is where the website is, and you will find us on Facebook and Instagram. We should be on LinkedIn. We should be on everything else, but we just keep it quiet basically, and we just plod along. But yeah, you'll find us on Facebook more than anything else. Just simply put Yarm Martial Arts and you'll see us.
Lovely. Yarm Martial Arts. And that was a perfect segue into, if you want to connect with Tony Rice on LinkedIn. There it is. That's the QR code to connect with Tony Rice on LinkedIn too. Looking like an extra pillar of the community in that photograph, because you've got a tie on there.
Yeah.
That's the picture.
That's a very rare picture.
And anywhere else we can find out about you and anything else you want to point us to on the internet?
Just go on to my Facebook page. Just put Tony Rice in, and my personal one, and you'll see bits and pieces of what we get up to, effectively.
Just a couple of announcements from me, and then there's another question coming from you. If you've enjoyed listening or watching the show and you'd like a conversation about guesting too, the website for the show is thegoodlisteningtoshow.com, and there are a number of different series strands that can help in that regard. This has been a founder story, obviously. And then I mentioned, when you were talking about the passing of your own father, Tony, my own father, Colin Grimes, who died about 1.5 years ago, is a very energetic mascot for something called Legacy Life Reflections, because Colin Grimes, cheers to a good life. He was from Middlesbrough too, but I recorded him in the halcyon days of his 80s before, with the gift of hindsight, he slipped into a crater of declining health. So Legacy Life Reflections is a series strand to help, as I say, tell either your own life story or the story of somebody that you love for posterity. By being in the show, Tony, what's really exciting is you're going to be on UK Health Radio, and your whole way of obviously extolling the virtues of the mental well-being aspects of martial arts as well would be implicit. And I'm really excited to introduce you to the UK Health Radio audience too. And also this show now syndicates to Brushwood Media in the States as well. So I'm hoping that you're going to get a lot of global interest in Yarm Martial Arts. How we're compass pointing true northeast, going truly viral. So Tony Rice, this has been your moment in the sunshine, talking about all things Yarm Martial Arts and the gorgeous, lovely man that you are. As this has been your moment in the sunshine, in the Good Listening To show, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, it's just to the listeners, it's just to believe in yourself and always try your best. And if you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I tried my best, that's all everybody asks of you. That's it. And always remember, if you have troubles, there's always somebody in your community who you can share with and have a chat with over a cup of tea and a piece of cake.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Chris Grimes, but most importantly, this has been Tony Rice from Yarm Martial Arts. And I wish you all future glory and success for your expansion of the empire, and your legacy will be complete. Anything else you'd like to say? Because I'd like you to have the last word, Tony.
No, just thank you very much for this opportunity. This is my very first podcast. So thank you for the opportunity. It was really, really good. And also to you, Chris, because of this, it's made me actually really think a little bit more deeper about where we're at. And it's also contributing towards me thinking about how I want the business to look in the future for the Academy. and resonating when certainly with the questions and the conversations and the points that I had a little think about. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that.
And thank you to you sincerely for entrusting me with your story. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time for more stories from the clearing. Thank you very much indeed.